Good evening, voters. India today entered an elite space club by becoming only the fourth nation in this entire world to have an anti-satellite weapon system in place. Prime Minister Modi earlier today made that announcement that India shot down a live satellite in the low Earth orbit. Prime Minister also said that with this feat, we have now become a super space power. And also that we've sent across a message to the world that while we have the capabilities, we believe in peace. We are not looking to promote a war-like situation. Now, apart from India, there's USA, Russia and China, three other nations who have similar capabilities to run and operate an A-site missile that will shoot down satellites in this space. Tonight, we are going to try and understand what does this really mean? What does it mean for our country? What does it mean for our defense assets, for our overall defense and security strategy? We will also look at the larger picture. There's Mangalyaan, there's Gaganyaan. We have about 102 different spacecraft missions currently active. Our space might has obviously strengthened significantly in the last few years. Does Mission Shakti prove that we can now also safeguard our space assets? And does it also help us bring down any satellites of any of our enemies who may be trying to spy on us? All of that explanation on the other side of this basic report. A big moment for India. Prime Minister Modi today told the nation that we had shot down a live satellite in space in just 3 minutes, making India the fourth nation in the world to have this capability.
भारत ने आज अपना नाम अंतरिक्ष महाशक्ति स्पेस पावर के रूप में दर्ज करा दिया है। हमारे वैज्ञानिकों ने अंतरिक्ष में लो अर्थ ऑर्बिट में एक लाइव सैटेलाइट को मार गिराया है।
The intent of DRDO's Mission Shakti was to show that we have the strength to defend India's assets. The use of ASAT in the mission is seen as crossing new frontier.
In 3 minutes, from the time of detection of the satellite at a particular location, to the extent that to the moment it is given an order for launch, the entire process has been automated. Now this entire automated process is the legacy of the ballistic missile defense systems.
Reports suggest that India may have had the basic capability since 2012, but we successfully tested it only now, sending a big message to the world.
Today, India has become one of the 4 nations in the world which has this capability of destroying an active satellite in the space, and that too within a matter of minutes. Today we have achieved a great technological feat.
But BJP's rivals were quick to question why Prime Minister had to make the announcement and take the credit.
For last 5 years, Prime Minister did not even once address the nation on a single satellite launch. What happened that now in the middle of the election, a Prime Minister facing imminent defeat and running helter-skelter looking for an issue is now muzzling the voice of DRDO scientists on their achievement.
However, the BJP and former DRDO chief put Congress itself in the dock.
कि जब अग्नि 5 लॉन्च हुआ था कि डॉक्टर वीके सारस्वत ने ये कहा, we now have the capacity to develop and the desire to develop an anti-satellite missile, but the government has not permitted us to do so. तो इसलिए जो अपनी गलत पीठ थपथपाते हैं अपने फेलियर्स के लिए, उनको याद रहे कि उनकी जो कहानी है उसके फुटप्रिंट्स बहुत लंबे हैं.
Few others question if this announcement was against the Model Code of Conduct. With India entering the list of elite club of nations, Today's announcement by Prime Minister confirms our proven weapon capability. Mirror Now report. The matter related to the address by the Prime Minister has now been brought to the notice of the Election Commission, and the Election Commission actually has issued a statement saying that we have asked a committee of officers to examine this matter and see if there has been any violation of the Model Code of Conduct. Meenakshi is on the phone line. Meenakshi, of course, multiple political parties have raised this question that when the Model Code of Conduct is in place, why should the Prime Minister be making any announcements?
Well, that's right, Tanvi. We've seen the left, predominantly led by Sitaram Yechury, issue statement saying as to how vociferously it believes this is a blatant disregard of the moral code of conduct which has kicked in. And on the other hand, we have also heard from top sources within the government who express a lot of confidence that this does not really fall within the realm of any violation of MCC, because this is an ongoing project. It pertains to the security of the country, and therefore they feel that they are confidently placed. But that being said, Election Commission statement, Tanvi, is a big display about the seriousness that the Election Commission is displaying with regards to any complaints that are put forth by any political parties, and therefore this committee has been constituted, which will go on to examine with great detail whether or not the address that was made by the Prime Minister today falls within the realm of violation of the Model Code of Conduct or not.
All right, Meenakshi, thanks so much for bringing us that update. Well, let's introduce our guest for tonight, Lieutenant General Raj Kadyan, Defence and Strategic Affairs expert, Raman Malik of the BJP, Salman Soor, spokesperson for the Congress Party, Gauhar Raza, scientist with us this evening, Dr. Chaitanya Giri, Fellow for Space Studies, Gateway House, and Maruf Raza, Strategic Affairs expert and the consulting editor to the Times Network. Let's get to our experts first, and let me start with Dr. Giri. Dr. Giri, can you help us and our viewers understand why what has happened today is very significant and puts us in that elite club?
Let me start by saying this. Mission Shakti has put India in an elite club of space powers with anti-satellite capabilities. Why I say that? It's a rarefied club. 3 out of the 5 P5 members, the permanent 5 in the International Security Council, have anti-satellite capabilities, which means 2 don't. And apart from these 3, India is the only country to have demonstrated such kind of capabilities. So it's a big feat for India. The DRDO has been possessing building blocks for anti-satellite weapons for a pretty long time, almost a decade or so. And it was very important, and it was very important for the country to bring about geopolitical prudence and a political will to carry out or to bring in these building blocks of ASAT weapons and demonstrate it. And this has been shown today. Shakti is a continuum of efforts that have undergone tremendously in different programs, particularly the Prithvi missile program, the Agni missile program. And what you see today in the screen next to you, the ASAT weapon is a culmination of several military projects that have come together. It's a big feat. It's a big feat for India.
Yes, and between identifying a target and actually initiating and getting results, the whole process roughly takes about 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
A lot of these components are indigenously developed. So whether it's the lock and load, the error correction, all of that, the calculation for the entire process, the precision strike, all of that has been developed by our own scientists. Gauhar Raza, if I can come to you to help us understand in what scenarios can this be used? I mean, one thing that obviously comes to mind is if an enemy satellite is spying on us and trying to pick up important information from our space, we can shoot it down. Is there anything else that this can be used for?
See, once you develop the capabilities of this order, then there are a large number of spin-offs. You master the technologies of material, you master the technology of control system, you master the technology of fuels, you master the technology of how to achieve excellence in almost all areas of science. And there are always spin-offs when you achieve such kind of excellence in any one area of science, which means that there is a base bedrock which is science in the country. And on top of that, you build all these capabilities, whether it's ISRO, whether it's Atomic Energy Commission, whether it's DRDO, CSIR, all these are bedrocks for me. The only problem that I see in today's debate since morning is high level of politicization of science and technology in the country. Let's also very clearly know that science and technology is not built in 1 day or 2 days. The decision you take, and these are political decisions that you take 70 years back, we took that decision that we'll develop space sciences, and today we have reached the stage. Now, whatever decision we take today will affect and influence younger generations of scientists in the country. I'm very scared of politicization of scientific community, science and technology, and since morning, that is the only thing that is happening. We are not talking about how we have achieved it, what has been achieved, what kind of science has gone into it. Scientific community today in India has confidence that we can achieve such a thing, which is par excellence. Now, building blocks of such a technology, as just now told by my colleague, are numerous. This is not one technology.
Sir, I guess
for an outsider sitting somewhere before
I do not
a television set.
The details of what technology has been used and what all has been done should be debated on television. This is not for public forum.
Nobody is debate. No, let him finish his point, Mr. Raman Malik. I don't know why you're jumping in between.
That is good, but as
please
your
hold
panelist
on.
was saying,
Let our experts, scientists of this country make their points first, please. Again, reiterating the point that our experts are making, this is not about politics or rhetoric. So, Mr. Malik, if you can hold on for a few more minutes, let Mr. Raza finish his point, please. Yes.
I'm sure whoever has intervened must have been a politician. They don't want people to know anything. They don't want people to know how we have developed over a period of time. But what I am trying to say is that it is science and technology which is respected all across the country, and each and every survey has confirmed this, how people love science and technology and scientific community in the country. Now, politicization of scientific community, science and technology is a problem. In 5 years, we know that GDP percentage spent on science and technology has reduced, which is not a very happy situation.
Right.
Yet our scientists have been able to achieve based on what they have acquired in 70 years. Now, that is what is scientific community. We are stable. We don't get swayed by political upheavals in the country. We have done our job. In fact, I have been very disturbed when first time Prime Minister sidelined ISRO chairman and addressed the nation when we had that launch.
Okay.
Just after he assumed his position. And again, this has happened.
Well,
this
Mr. Raza,
is not a good tradition.
So let's focus on the technology. Let's focus on our achievements, Mr. Raza. Because he wouldn't be the first.
Are going to do the same thing.
He is not the first Prime Minister to do this either. For important space missions, even when it came to Indira Gandhi, she was the one who came out and made statements and took the limelight. So I think politicians across party lines and politicians across timelines is different. But like you said tonight, let's talk about the technology. Let's talk about the achievements. Because I do not want...
It is not about taking the limelight. When you acquire something like this, it is about putting your position clear in the international community. So please do not put limelight kind of words into it. It is making
So
India's
why couldn't the
position
ISRO
clear
chief
in
and the DRDO
the
chief
international
make the
community
announcement?
that
The
what
international
is
community
that
would have
we
given
do
equal
about
amount
it.
of respect to the
No,
ISRO
it is
chief
not.
and DRDO chief,
The
no?
political statement and the... Ma'am, the diplomatic political statements cannot be made by scientists.
Can
It
I-
is going to
can
be
I
made
So
by
what
the
was the
head of
diplomatic
state.
political
Can you
statement being
just
made
make
here?
one more point?
One minute, please. Mr. Raman Malik, what was the diplomatic political statement we
Yes.
were making today? I thought it was talking about our achievements in the field of
That
science and
India
space
is
research.
not going to use this.
Okay.
I'll tell you, Tanvi ji, it is about that India is not going to use it for any aggressive purpose. It is a deterrent. This statement had to go to the international community, which we will see the statement what it does till tomorrow morning. Otherwise, you would see what it could have done otherwise if the
Can I
statement
make a
did not
point?
go.
No, let me, Mr.
There would have been condemnations.
Mr. Raza, let me just go around the panel once and I will come back to you. Salman Soos, do you want to respond to that?
Yeah, you see, first of all, let me just say that we should all congratulate our scientific community for this great achievement. This is no ordinary feat. Yes, indeed, the basic building blocks for this technology were ready by 2011, 2012. And yes, the leader of the mission at that time, Mr. Saraswat, said that we could fine-tune this technology using simulations because conducting a test has the potential of creating debris that could actually damage satellites that are not really threatening India at that time. Be that as it may, we are where we are, and that is all very good. The problem occurs, I think, when the Prime Minister of the country and the BJP try to politicize national security matters. I think on national security, we should all be together. We should not try to politicize the armed forces or our scientific community. We should, at least on these kinds of occasions, let those who are researchers, who are working behind the scenes, let them come to the forefront and say, this is how, explain it to people, explain it to the world, and actually get a little bit of credit. And unfortunately, I think the Prime Minister cannot countenance that. And just 2 or 3 weeks before, 2 weeks before the elections, the first phase of the elections, he violates the Model Code of Conduct with impunity. And by the way, leaves a very bad
I want to just ask you this,
impression,
Salman Soos.
leaves a very bad, let me just finish, leaves a very bad example, for other politicians, and by the way, for the younger generation. What are they learning from the Prime Minister? That if you're a powerful person, you can flout norms, you can flout rules. That is not good for Indian democracy.
Well, I think the EC will decide if norms are flouted. I don't think there is anything wrong with the Prime Minister of a country talking about such a big achievement. Of course, one would have liked to also see the scientists who were behind this also at the forefront, to know them, to understand what they did, and to hear from them as well. And at some point, one will hopefully get to that point. But Salman Soos, I have a question for you. Do you agree with this change in policy? Because what has also emerged and become clear is that we've had this technology and this capability now for many years, but we never moved to put it together, to test it and send that message to the world that, look, we can do this. During UPA's era, we had this technology, but we didn't act on it. Does your party agree with this change in stance?
Well, first of all, I mean, this technology, yes, it was in development for a while. Basically, it was pretty much ready. And by the way, this is one more fine example of what the Indian Space Organization has been able to do over the years. We've had so many important missions and important technologies come out. Now, what you're saying is, should this have been done now? The question is for all of us. These are of vital national security interest. These are of very high strategic interest. The question is, one question to ask for the other panelists is, why do it when there is no international pressure on, say, for example, negotiations which would say, let's ban ASAT technology? There's nothing like that going on. So I think Giving up this card just like that, I don't know. Maybe the defense establishment has some more information on that. I'm not privy to that.
Okay.
Frankly, of course, the defense minister did not show up today. Of course, it was the blog minister, Mr. Jaitley.
Okay. So let me take that point, Mr. Soos.
We never hear from her about national security
yes,
matters.
And we have two scientists on this panel. We have two strategic experts also on this panel. I'm going to go across to them now. Maruf, do you agree that on the question of why now and the shift in policy, do we need a bigger trigger? You know, why did we need to show this deterrent right now?
Tanvi, I'll come to your question just a little later, but let me, because the moment I say something on the date and timing, it'll get a lot of noise from various people. So let me make one or two other important strategic points. The first thing is that, India has been repeatedly denied and ring-fenced as far as access to top-end technology in satellite, missiles, and things of that nature go. It is part of the various control regimes that the world has set up, like the MTCR, where India doesn't get access. And the good thing of that is that it has given our scientists the opportunity to show that the Indian mind is no less than any other. And it is today, of course, a huge milestone with the ASAT, but we have in the past put satellites on Mars at the cost of a Hollywood film. We have set out various other satellite programs. Some of our missiles are world-class, like the BrahMos, the Agni, and even the Akash missiles. And all the credit really goes to the scientific community, which, like the armed forces, continuously are feeling a cut in their budget for a variety of reasons, but they are going on relentlessly achieving milestone after milestone. Having said that, the same countries that deny us access to those technologies want us to buy top-end technologies of defense systems because a lot of their economy benefits from that and people and workers and factories benefit from that. So there is an irony here attached. The second thing is, it is for some years now that the armed forces have begun to set up strategic space commands. The Air Force, I know for a fact, has been having that in place for at least 10 to 12 years. So there is serious thinking that space and space-related technology of this nature is going to seriously influence the outcome of future conflicts and not just the numbers and quality of your tanks, aircrafts, and ships.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
The third and most important thing is that if Mr. Saraswat, as he's gone on record to say, that on 2012 they were ready to go ahead with the test. Now, this is a bit perplexing to me, and the only counter-explanation to that has been given by some people to say that maybe some of the military arrangements that we are going in with the Americans are putting a deadline on us to get our act together with, these kind of missile technologies before, like the CTBT, we are put on a sort of timeline that you cannot test after that. That was one of the reasons we didn't sign the CTBT in 1995. But the fact is that if that not be the case, then if in 2012 everything was ready in place,
yes,
why were we not able to exercise the will and the decision to do it in 2015, 16, 17, 18? And why have we done it now? I mean, I have not come across as yet any clarity and explanation.
I have actually spent a considerable amount of time since this announcement came out and since the former DRDO chief, Mr. Saraswat, who you're referring to, made that claim, and we started digging a lot. And there are a few dots that I've managed to connect, but I will come to that in just a bit. To the earlier point that you made, General Kadiyam, thank you for joining us. Always a pleasure to have you weigh in on that aspect. Going forward, this is going to be the new form of warfare, isn't it? It's less of tanks and guns on ground and more of cyber and space, strategies and warfare that the countries will look at.
Tanvi, it's a great day for India. We all need to be very, very proud of our scientific community and all those who have gone to bring this test to fruition. If India is to become a superpower, which we are aiming to be, and which we are proceeding towards, then I think national security is the prime requirement. All your economy, your political development, your strong diplomacy follows from the fact that you first are a secure country, you're secure as a nation. And one is happy to know that in addition to making us secure on the land, air and the seas, India is also today secure in space, which may be the future arena of battle. As Maruf has also said, it's a well-known fact. Now, it has two aspects. One is the achievement on the scientific level. No doubt it would have taken a long time for the scientists to bring this about. It cannot be done overnight. You need to track, you need to identify, you need to, and then you need to engage a target flying in space. So all this takes a lot of time, and it's a joint effort by many other agencies. The second part, which I think was causing controversy, that if in 2012 we were ready with this development, but we were not able to carry out a test because we did not feel strong enough to face the world criticism, which is inevitable. When China went for this kind of technology in 2007, the world had criticized it in a major manner. So India perhaps also is apprehensive that we will be under criticism, but today the country feels strong enough to take that decision, which is what is required. I think the credit should go to the political establishment for taking this decision to do a test openly and let the world know that we have this technology. So I think the credit should go to both. To say that why the Prime Minister should not announce, he is not a scientist. He has given credit to the scientists. I heard his speech. He has given due credit. It is, in his Hindi, he spoke that Shreya goes to them. There is no doubt about it. But it is a political decision to carry out the test. It is not a scientist. Scientists cannot take the decision to do this. So for that, the political leadership deserves credit. And who else other than the Prime Minister can announce it? I don't know if there is a...
Yes, actually, you know, frankly, I think that's just taking a lot of time, General Kadyan. I agree with you. That's just taking a lot of airtime and media coverage time unnecessarily. And like our experts said in the beginning, we should be talking more about what this science is and what it really means. But because the issue has been raised about whether or not we had the capability then and why didn't we do anything about it till now. Now, I dug out some of the older quotes of Dr. Saraswat, who was the DRDO chief at that point of time. In 2010, he said, when Agni 3 was tested, he said, with the successful testing of Agni 3, we have the propulsion system that can be used to propel a kill vehicle in the orbit. We have the capability for the interception, but we do not have to test it because that's not our primary objective. Now, this is a quote that I'm reading, obviously, from a media report in 2010 of the same man, who went on to say there are repercussions of satellite interception like debris flying in the space. Now, to this, I now understand that that problem was solved, and maybe our experts can help us on that. That debris problem was resolved because we decided to use the low Earth orbit from which the debris will disintegrate and fall back to Earth. So that problem that Dr. Saraswat was raising then is not an issue anymore. With that, would I be right, you know, Dr. Giri, if you can shed some light on this?
Yeah, so by hitting a satellite that's located 300 kilometers above the Earth's surface, you have a very good chance that the debris created falls back into the Earth's atmosphere, disintegrates, and is completely nullified. But if you look at the Chinese test, these tests were conducted on satellites which were at an altitude of 800 kilometers. That's where the debris issue arises. Now, what I'll add over here is this, that we have done these anti-satellite tests at the fag end of missile-based anti-satellite systems. The world is slowly moving towards laser-based anti-satellite weapons. The three anti-satellite powers, again, China, Russia, and the United States, are focusing on laser-based systems. And it is time that India, or probably India, is already in the lead amongst these three countries in building such kind of technologies. Now, what are the advantages of laser-based systems? The first advantage is you are actually not disintegrating a satellite. You are just frying the electronics on which the satellite is based upon. And when you fry the electronics, you are rendering the satellite useless. You're not disintegrating. That's where the space debris problem is avoided. And that's where India should really take its anti-satellite capabilities.
Okay,
forward.
interesting point. You know, thank you for telling us about the newer technologies that we are looking at, and then one should be focusing on going forward as well. Now, in 2010, that was a comment, and obviously at that point, DRDO and maybe the government believed that we shouldn't be carrying out this test because there is no need to send out this kind of a message to the world, and that the debris that will be created will be a problem. In 2012, again, Mr. V.K. Saraswat, after the Agni 5 launch, spoke, and he said, no, now we have these building blocks that we're talking about, the ballistic missile defense blocks are ready. We can work on this to develop a kill vehicle that can be propelled via the Agni 5 missile that we've just launched. But at the same time, media reports also quote top defense scientists to say that India does not believe in weaponization of space. We are only talking about having the capability. There are no plans for offensive space capabilities. So perhaps that's where the change may have happened. Salman Soz, the Congress is not giving us any specific answers yet officially on why they didn't use it, but do you think largely that would make sense, that as a strategy you didn't want to step into that space race or be on the offensive?
Well, if you listen to what the government says today, even today, India's policy is not to actually just go and weaponize space, but it is basically for defense. So this technology, so, you know, I don't really think the policy changes that much. I think the technology existed at that time. And the government at that time felt, as Mr. Saraswat also indicates, that we can keep on fine-tuning this technology with through simulations. So I think today, perhaps Mr. Saraswat has a different recollection of what he said at that time. But you know, the record, as you already have kind of dug out, and others have pointed out as well, that he made certain statements, as did other senior scientists who felt that we were on course. Now, you know, one thing we must keep in mind is that these technologies, as India's capabilities improve over time, this is built on the work that has been done in the past. We've achieved so much, whether it's Chandrayaan, whether it's Mangalyaan. You know, these are the kinds of things that India has been doing, and this is one more important, hugely important milestone, and that should be celebrated. What we should not allow our politicians to do, I'm a politician, what we should not be doing is trying to politicize this, especially at a time when we have an election season coming up. Not just coming up, we're in the middle of the election season. The model code of conduct is in place. There is, you know, the same kind of message. You know, people in the rest of the world are also smart. If our scientists had come out and said that can I please finish? I mean, I know you know, today I think BJP spokespersons are very frustrated because they can tell that you know, they want to take some credit from this. This is nationalism and all that stuff.
Okay, but he deserves time for a response.
People are worried about a lot of other things also. So I just want to make sure. I just want to make sure that you keep in mind that when we have the model code of conduct,
okay,
the BJP should not be behaving as if they own
all right, all right. Point taken. Salman Soz, Raman Malik,
should not insult the people. They should not insult the people of India.
Well, the EC will decide if the code has been violated, but Raman Malik, up to you to respond. And no personal comments from either side, please.
See, first of all, Mr. Mr. Soz's stand is very clear, and I think it's not something which is a personal thing. It's in the public domain. So, leaving that aside, my simple point here is that you have a problem by saying that why Mr. Modi came out and stated it. Mr. Modi happens to be the Prime Minister of India till the next government is elected, whether it is BJP or any other government. But for your bad or for your, you know, thing, people have a mind and they want Mr. Modi to be the Prime Minister again. Anyways, having said that, it is up to the Prime Minister to convey the right message in the international diplomatic arena, in the international community as well. It was the will of the political dispensation to go ahead with it, as you go on to take credit of the 1971 war, where, for your information, I may tell you, and please ask this to your party, maybe you are not aware of it, go and ask why was Mr. Manekshaw's, Field Marshal Manekshaw's salary stopped in 1973, and it was later given by a person who happened to be the same person whom Mrs. Sonia Gandhi opposed for becoming the President of India again, and that was Dr. Kalam, who's also father of the defense.
Can we not get a history lesson right now?
Missile systems of
We're
India.
talking about the
Now,
future
this is
science
what you stand
here.
for. No, this is what they stand for, ma'am.
Take a political rhetoric and what Congress stands for separately on a different platform, please. Don't waste the time of my viewers right now with all of this rhetorics. Can you, for example, let's have a concrete conversation, Mr. Raman Malik. You've responded to what the Congress said. I gave you the time to respond to what the Congress said about Prime Minister making this speech. Now answer my question. Let's talk about science and the importance that we are giving to science, to scientists. I'm coming back to you. I have a question for you. Let's talk actual, real policy.
That what you are doing and what capability that you have acquired today is that you can make your opponent blind and stand still.
Okay.
Because once their satellite systems are down, you're making them blind, and their infrastructure, their electronic and communication infrastructure finishes off. So that is what you've attained today.
Okay. Now tell me this. The Standing Committee on Defence in 2016-2017 projected a demand for Defence Research and Development Organization, which is the DRDO, for roughly about 18,782 crore rupees. But the budget estimate that came out was 13,500 odd crore rupees. Similarly, in 2015-2016, the budgetary estimate allocation itself was 14,358 crore rupees, but the revised estimate, it went down further to 491 crore rupees. As Gauhar Raza earlier raised the issue, Raman Malik, can you tell us why, if we are giving so much importance, are we not giving enough funds to our own research organizations and scientists? Do you think that's not necessary?
See, we are conducting all important
are you asking me?
At the right time. It is not that we are not doing it, but it is also the responsibility of the government in question to fulfill the requirements of the people who are needy, the poor. And we have run the entire schemes which were benefiting the poorest of poor, and we have made sure that they have an elevation in their level of living. And that with continuous efforts, whether it is defense, whether it is research, we have been able to do far more.
Okay.
But yes, I do accept that limitations are always going to be there.
Correct.
There's no endless flow of money. We have to generate more revenues to have more funds.
Definitely not. Maybe we can stop spending so much on statues and use it elsewhere and give it to our scientists.
10 seconds?
No, Mr. Soz, let me just go back to Gauhar Raza on that point, because Maroof also said
I knew that could come.
Because constantly we are seeing reductions in budget for science, for defense research and for defense. Gauhar Raza, do you agree, or do you accept the argument being given by BJP that we also have to look at other purposes? For example, we have to look at how we take care of the welfare of the poor. Is it an either-or situation?
See, I just want to respond to this, and before that, I want to say that remember that in 2011, when Saraswat made the statement that we have conducted 6 tests, out of which we have succeeded in 5. Only one did, in one test,
5.
we did not succeed. So the capability to hit the target by ASAT was there. Today, we have tested it. That's all. We have tested it. It's a big leap. In my opinion, it's a big leap when you test it. It's a destructive test, number one. Number two, there is no scientist in the world who can believe that the debris can be destroyed by, completely destroyed by such an act. This test would have created debris because you hit the target, and where the splinters will go, you can never, no scientific method is available for that. No computer can generate so much of data and process it that it can predict which way the debris will go. So I personally, as a scientist, do not believe anybody who says that debris will be destroyed completely, unless and until you use laser. Laser is different thing, but when you hit a target, then debris is generated and you don't know what is going to be the trajectory of each splinter that is involved in the whole thing. The second point that you have raised is extremely important for future. It's not important today, because what the decision you took 70 years back has resulted into the test today. Today, if we are starving scientific community, if we are starving our technological institutions, then the impact will be felt maybe after 5 years, maybe after 10 years, when 2 more governments have gone. So somebody saying that we have other priorities, today India is aspiring to be a world power. But when this decision was taken that we'll build science and technology structure in the country, we were poorest of the poor in the whole entire world. We were at that time had many things to do and many mouths to feed. We had so many priorities at that time, but at that time we took a decision that we'll invest in science and technology. Any government which reduces science and technology budget is playing with the future of the country. It is making it weak. It is not making it by doing a test which scientists have performed very well. And I congratulate all my colleagues who must have slogged for achieving this, whatever we achieved today. But any government which takes a decision to reduce our budget is playing with fire. It's making the nation weak in times to come.
Well, point well taken, and I hope the government of the day and those hoping to be in the government tomorrow are listening to you. Let's quickly also go across to one of our viewers, Govind Rajan, on the phone line from Chennai. Good evening, Govind. What's your view on this achievement?
Yeah, good evening, all my panelists and yourself, Tanvi ma'am. Then I would like to, I'm very happy that we have a DRDO has carried out such a big achievement. But is it not appropriate the PM along with him carried out the DRDO officials along with him at the time of addressing the nation? It is only indicates that the political mileage he tried to avail from this. If at all he want to really honor the DRDO officials, the scientists of the country, he should have carried them along with him in the studios. Along with them, he should have addressed the nation, not as a political person. A political speech has been given by the Prime Minister. I have watched him, the activity, the action he has with his hand up and down like a political party meeting, he has addressed the nation. That is the ulterior motive. We are very happy. Our defense persons are very capable of bringing so many honors to the nation.
Yes.
But this kind of politicization is not fair for any honest politician. Any honest politician will not do this. Even Atal Bihari Vajpayee has not done like that.
Absolutely. You know, actually, you've raised a very good point, Mr. Govindarajan, and I think that's the point we should just wrap this conversation on. I'm going to thank my panelists, but let's hope that the government and DRDO take note of what people of India are also saying. We want to know these scientists. We want to hear their stories. Tell us who worked on Mission Shakti. Tell us who put how many years, the challenges they had, their stories, because these are the scientists, these are the actual people who deserve this credit. And they must be brought out. Tell us their names, show us their faces. Let's give them the due credit. Let the country come together and thank these scientists, the project heads, and each and every single member of the team who worked on this to make it happen, not just today and not just as part of Mission Shakti that carried out the test, but everybody else who's been part of this anti-satellite weapon system and developed this in the last 10-15 years. A big thank you to those scientists who, irrespective of what the environment is, what the scenario is politically and otherwise, the amount of funds and the amount of resources that may be given to them, just continue because for the love of science and for the love of their country. So thank you to them for this massive announcement. Politics, of course, will continue. One can't really do much about it, but we can definitely choose to focus on the real issue. Thank you so much for joining us on this debate.